Not Nerd Podcast, episode 322, The Bank of Bucks.
Welcome to the Not Nerd Podcast. I am Nate Heath, and we are here to help you tech better. Here with me, as always, Mr. Dave Baylor.
Howdy, howdy, sir. Good to see you. And before I go into another rendition of an old DJ or celebrity,
Yes.
there was no feedback on my Wolfman Jack. Either it was so accurate that we tricked people into thinking it really was Wolfman Jack, or people were too young to know who that is. So
Yes. A combination of both, I'm sure.
Yes,
I'm
probably.
Sure. But,
well, how are you, my friend? It's good to see you after a week of just working hard and kicking butt and taking names.
Yep. Trying to keep up with the world of technology and keeping people's computers working and all that good stuff, keeping our own devices working.
Yeah.
Providing each other tech support as we often.
Yeah, and for our listeners out there who think, oh, these guys must never have problems. I had a scare yesterday thinking that my computer did not work, and I was like, how am I going to record the show tomorrow? Pro tip, make sure it is charged before you try to turn it on. So that's all I'll say about that.
Okay, well, with that, we will go into some follow-up. We have been talking much about Wordle. Well, the New York Times must be listening because they have purchased Wordle from Josh Wardle in a rumored, what'd they say? I heard 7-figure deal, so they're guessing around $1 million, which is not a bad payday for somebody that just makes a little app for his significant other, and then it catches fire.
They were including the change on that, so it's only like $1,000.
Yes. But and he did a little post, saying, "Hey, I had no idea what this was going to become. I'm, excited that they'll be able to manage it. He just didn't want to deal with the crazy growth on it. So will be interesting to see. I mean, New York Times, of course, their crossword puzzles and some of their other stuff. It sounds like it'll be free at the beginning, but I believe also last week we were talking about paywalls and that it might be going behind the paywall eventually. Hopefully, Sweardle and Loodle and Letterle will all stay free and accessible to all.
We can only hope because, we got to have access to those.
Yes. And I will remind people we are the most non-partisan tech podcast on the internet, which you might have to repeat a couple times today, but you had found a link and I've been following along. We were talking about Joe Rogan last week and just the issues going there. Well, I think it was Friday, Spotify polled 70 more of Joe Rogan's episodes. Now he has, it's like 2,000 episodes or something on there. And there was, when he first came over to Spotify, I think there was 43 episodes initially that they pulled off for guests or content or whatever it was. But now with everything going on and the back and the forth and the Neil Youngs and the this, that, and the other, everybody seems to have a take on this. Now, this might get put on your tinfoil hat, but I did see somebody going down a rabbit trail that one of the major investors in a vaccine company also owns part of Neil Young's music catalog. So there's your conspiracy theory of why he would be against Joe Rogan, but it's pretty crazy. Some of the people, I looked through the list, there's a website, I forget what it's, but they basically track. They have JRE Missing, Joe Rogan Experience Missing, where they have a little API or website set up where it checks all the episodes to see what's still in Spotify. So they were the ones that noticed a bunch more missing. But some of the topics, it's different comedians, and I'm like, I don't know what could be controversial. And it was pre-COVID stuff and all over the place.
I think the primary thing on this is someone put together a supercut of all the times the N-word was used by Joe Rogan. And to be fair, those were taken out of context. Many of them, he'd use the N-word when he was maybe a title of a song, a title of a book, or he's quoting somebody.
Yes.
But instead of censoring himself, he said the word. And so somebody did a supercut, and he apologized and said, it sounds really bad. And as a white man, I appreciate that that's not a word for me to
Yes.
use. And, it was all out of ignorance. There was nothing punitive about
Yes,
him
yeah,
using that
yeah.
word, but he understood why people were upset about it. But I think the ones that were removed were primarily the ones that contained
Contain
that
those.
subject matter.
Yes. So, yes, this will continue to be in the news, I'm sure, and feels like some of it's just a distraction from some of the other things
Yeah.
that we should be focusing on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you've got, people upset with him, people pulling their stuff from Spotify. Then you have
Yeah.
other comedians, coming out and saying, I stand with Joe. I mean, he's a good guy. This is getting blown out of proportion. So it is, as with everything, a very polarized topic as of late.
And as most people have said in the past, if you don't like what he says, just don't listen to it.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's a couple other podcasts out there that you can, and I guarantee you could take 10 random Joe Rogan podcasts and you're going to agree with 50% of the stuff. It's not, you're not going to listen to 10 different episodes and go, I disagree with everything he says. He talks about, like hallucinogenics and drug use and aliens and, I mean, obviously, MMA and, all the fighting stuff. The guy, his breadth of intrigue is huge. And so there's a lot of topics there, but obviously some of the stuff is coming under fire here.
Certainly.
And when you spend, he probably averages 12 hours a week of conversations if he does 4 episodes. So you do that, 3 hours times a couple thousand episodes, you're going to say some stuff that people don't like.
Right.
At some point. Well, completely changing the topic, we did our 6-year anniversary show, and I heard from Mike Peterson that he was getting caught up on the podcast, so he did not get a call in. But on that same episode, when we did have a couple voicemails, we were talking about CES and the ROG Zephyrs G14 gaming laptops. Were mentioned in CES, the new version. That's actually what Mike uses. And he says, if you're going to use Windows, that's a pretty dang good laptop to use. So I thought I'd share that with everybody looking for a good gaming laptop.
You don't think that my 2019 MacBook Pro with 2 ports, if I put the ARM version of Windows on there, wouldn't be a good gaming laptop?
Probably would not match up with Mike's Zephyrs G14.
Probably not. It's
Yes.
only through emulation, and I've tried doing some games, and there's not many that are configured for the
ARM version
chipset,
of
so.
the yes.
You know what though, Mike? I got to one up you. I mean, you're spending all this money on this hardware. Everything's going to streaming now.
Yeah.
You can use Microsoft Game Pass. There's the NVIDIA GeForce. Amazon's got their streaming service. Netflix is coming out with games. They'll probably have something streaming. So I bet 5 years from now, old whatever Asus Windows 10 computer will probably run anything as long as it can connect to the internet.
That is true. Well, Amazon is raising its Prime prices again. I think Jared was the one that tipped us off on this one, but it's been much discussion. And was it Jared that said, well, maybe if you'd stop going to space, we wouldn't have
Stop
to pay
going to space. We could save our prices on Amazon Prime, spread the love a little bit. And then he also mentioned that Jeff Bezos' super yacht forced a temporary dismantling of a Dutch bridge. So the consensus between Jared and I's conversation was maybe if Jeff Bezos wasn't spending millions,
so much money,
hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars maybe on space programs and yachts, then we could maybe all collectively save a few dollars on our Amazon Prime. But you know what? At $139, it's still a good deal.
Yes, and I was listening to another podcast discussing it, and they looked how many orders they had last year just to kind of see price per order, not to mention all the other services you get. But looking in my Amazon account alone, my wife has a separate one that we're tied into the same Prime account. Pro tip, you can have multiple family accounts on one Amazon Prime subscription. So it makes it a lot easier for shopping for birthday gifts and all that kind of stuff if you have separate
And
accounts.
it's cheaper because you only pay one fee.
Yes. So $139 divided by my 175 orders I placed. I'm paying 79 cents per order for Amazon Prime. So basically 79 cents for shipping on all those orders, I think.
And you get the free movies and the free audio and the
Yeah.
free books and the free whatever, you know.
Yeah. So it is one
I
of
say
those things.
free.
Netflix is going up, all these subscriptions. It's all in the subscriptions, and they're going to keep raising the prices if they can. But I did see a pro tip that I think it's like March 1st, if you're a new subscriber, you'll have the higher price. But if you're renewing, I think it's like May or something when they're going to start charging the higher price. So if you renew before then, you can still get the lower price and save yourself $20
for another year, and then
Yes.
everybody's going to be paying the same price.
Yes. And we were talking about the Olympics app that's
Yes.
going on, and the Beijing Olympics have started, the Winter Olympics. I watched some of the opening ceremonies and have caught some curling so far and some snowboarding. Just kind of, the Olympics are a great thing just to turn on in the background while I'm, sitting near the TV doing something else.
Yeah, and I've actually been seeking out with the Peacock app, which just let me do a quick sidestep. In years past, I have completely lambasted NBC for their crappy coverage, for their locked off stuff. Hey, you can watch the Olympics on these 30 apps if you have cable or, some satellite service or whatever. And they encouraged a lot of people to download their Peacock app, which had like some replays, and they were heavily delayed. Well, I'm happy to report that for the Winter Olympics, which has far fewer sports than the Summer Olympics, that you can pretty much watch anything live that's going on, and it's immediately available for replay after.
Wow.
Which is all I want.
Yeah.
If it takes place in the middle of the night and I want to watch it at 8 a.m., it's letting me, versus having to wait till it airs on prime time 12 hours later and then getting to watch it when the prime time thing is over. So you're like a full 24 to 30 hours after the event. It's like, I already know who won. It's because your own thumbnails are spoiling it when they have the person holding the medal. It's like, okay, I don't think I want to watch it now. So I'm happy to report that it's much better. So if you want to spend $5 to watch the Olympics for the rest of this week and next week, then it's probably worth it. It's been worth it for me.
Nice.
And then I'm going to immediately cancel again.
Yes. So I found an article from restofworld.org, a site that I am not familiar with, but they were looking at some of the other technologies being used at the Olympics. That app is mentioned, but the first one is robots, and I guess they've got robots that'll assist with medical care, collect garbage, dispense hand sanitizer, which I don't know why you need a robot to dispense hand sanitizer. I thought we'd have that. We've had that figured out, but they'll scan the air for COVID-19 particles and disinfect
That was
rooms.
new to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A fleet of 120 catering robots are available to serve food 24/7 in the media area. It's
I watched a video and somebody had shown a behind the scenes of how you get your lunch in the cafeteria. There's all this infrastructure up above and all these rails and stuff. And it lowers your dish down to your plate.
Wow.
You take it off, and then the dish goes back up into the sky to serve another customer. It was crazy.
Wow, that is wild. The other one that is a little concerning to me is they have smart beds, and they spin it as it gives reports. It can even send reports to their coaches about changes in vitals, an athlete's body signature, which again. Don't know if I want all that data flowing through China's internet.
Yeah. And here's something that might be awkward. The coach is checking everybody's stats. Oh, my contestant gained twice the amount of weight. What's going on?
Yes.
Oh, they're not alone in that bed, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
How did he gain 149 pounds over?
Yes. We're going to have to find another athlete here. But yes, and then 5G, they've got a huge 5G rollout for the Olympic Village to give everybody more internets. But there has been concerns in the past about some of the Chinese manufacturers of the 5G equipment. But then also there is number 5 on the list. Sorry, no cash or credit cards. So it's the central bank digital currency will enable Chinese authorities to trace how money moves through the country and is intended to be as frictionless to use as popular digital payment platforms WeChat Pay and Alipay. Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you go to Disneyland. They used to have Disney Bucks, where you convert real money into Disneyland bucks, and then you can spend them at Disneyland. And then when you go home, you're like, now what do I do with this $100 that
exactly.
I can't spend?
Yes. Well, and now this is contradicting itself, because it said inside the Olympic bubble, the only acceptable form of payment will be cash, Visa cards, and digital digital currency ECNY is the China's. So
well, maybe that's how you convert it to their cash or something.
Yes.
I don't know. I read that as well, and I was a little confused too. But who knows? I'm sure they have it all figured out, how they can track you to the very last second.
Yes. Well, you know what else we like to track to the very last second? Dave's Pro Tip of the Week.
Well, we were remiss to remind everybody of the Olympics last week. We were so stuck on talking about the Super Bowl, and I don't think this has happened before, where an Olympic event and the Super Bowl are going to be at the same time.
Yeah.
They're going to
I was curious about that. Yes, the Sunday the 13th.
There's going to be a lot to watch that day, I think. If the Olympics are still going, I don't even know when the end date is.
I do not either.
So, if you're like me and you're kind of a cord cutter and all the TV you watch, or most of the TV you watch, is streamed online, whether it be Netflix or the Peacock app or Disney Plus or Hulu or name
Amazon
one of them.
Prime.
Yeah, name one of them. I've got it because I'm a sucker. You might be thinking, well, how do I just watch my Olympics over the air? I don't want to pay the $4.99 for Peacock. Yeah. I don't want to try to figure out an app for the NFL that we talked about last week. What do? I don't have an antenna for my TV. Well, friends and family, did you know, and did we talk about this? I don't think we did. You can simply place an unfurled paperclip in the shape of an L, plug it into your coax port where an antenna might go, right inside the little hole.
Oh, yeah.
Do your auto search for your channels through the menu system on your TV. Yeah. And if you live in a metro area and get relatively good signal strength, you don't need an antenna. You can watch TV through a paperclip. I have used this trick for 25, 30 years.
Jeez.
If I don't have an antenna, just stick a paperclip in the coax. And for those of you who have the TVs mounted on your wall and stuff, you can just stick it in there and leave it. You don't have this unsightly antenna sticking up. So in my area, I easily get 30 or so digital channels this way. There are a couple primetime stations like ABC that kind of sketchy.
Yeah.
Like, it's better with a real antenna, but like NBC's coming in great, and all of those. I get all the church channels and the shopping channels and the Hispanic channels. Those all come in wonderful.
Perfect. Yeah, I don't know why those ones work so well.
You can pick those things up with a paperclip.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just wanted to say that if you've got a TV and don't have an antenna because you're a cord cutter like me, and don't rush out to Walmart and spend $50 or $60, even $100 on an antenna, try a paperclip first and see if it works.
Very cool. That is a nice budget tip there. I like that one. Well, let us move on to our takes of the week. The first one, Dave, you must have been cheering on this. Facebook had their quarterly results, and while they made money, their forecasting for growth moving forward, their growth has slowed. And I think it also has to do some with the metaverse, and everybody's kind of like, what's going on over there, Facebook? Well, this past week, I'm looking in my Apple Stocks app. Their stock price was at $322.99 a share, and then immediately, about as vertical a cliff as you can get, it went down to $240 and even a little bit lower there. So it dropped like $80 instantly after their results came out, which is just, I mean, the article that we have in the show notes, it says that it is largest wipeout in history.
Yeah, percentage-wise, I mean, the stock was $300 and some dollars, and so you take away $80, that's a huge percentage of that stock. It's the largest drop ever. And for full disclosure, I owned I owned like $100 worth of Facebook
Yeah.
stock when they crashed the time before, and I was so giddy. I'm like, they're going to go back up. And they did, but not very much.
Yeah.
And on this crash, I bought a few more shares, and I'm sad but happy to report the stock price has not increased yet. So with my couple $100 of Facebook stock, I'm going to either wait for them to go bankrupt, and I will gladly lose that money. I do not care. Or it's going to go back up to where it was, and I'm going to make a quick $100. So, as long as I can exploit Facebook on the heels of them exploiting the entire human population, then it's all good.
And I'm looking in my Stash app, and I don't believe that I own any Facebook stock, which I thought I might have a couple bucks of it here or there, but maybe I should buy in while it's low.
Yeah. And for those would-be investors out there, do not take stock advice from us. And yes, Nate and I both do dabble. And when I say dabble, we're talking tens of dollars on some of these stocks. So it's more of an experiment than an investment.
Yes, it's just research for the listener and how not to invest in stocks. In this other story I saw via kotkey.org, where I find lots of interesting stuff, and there's a video that goes with this, but it's talking about how Starbucks is a bank that sells coffee. And this is something that I've thought about for a long time, but they're specifically talking about Starbucks. And they say Starbucks has around 1.6 billion with a B dollars in stored value card liabilities outstanding. So in other words, gift cards, or in their app that, people put $50 in there, or, my wife loves getting Starbucks cards, and then she goes there. They make, you just think on holding $1.6 billion, and then you're making interest on that. That's just pure gold. And it's the same with Apple Cash or, Venmo, or any of these companies that have any of your money, even your bank. They like having your money because they can make money off of your money. That's how it works. But you might not think about it with Starbucks.
That's why a lot of banks have free checking and savings accounts, because they're using your money to leverage investments. And I got to say this, if you're with any bank that's charging you for a checking or savings account, you're getting swindled.
Yeah.
That should never be the case.
No.
Find a bank or credit union that does not charge you.
Yeah. Go local, find a good community credit union or something, or a smaller local bank, and stay away from that. We still have accounts at Chase, which of course is not a small bank, which I don't keep trying to move, but we don't. But like my business account is with On Point Credit Union, and they're really good, and there's a lot of options out there. But yeah, just an interesting perspective to think. Even the federal government, if you're paying into your taxes all year, they're making money off of that. And then you get all excited that they give you some of it back if you qualify at the end of the year. But
So what's your take on gift cards then? Because like you said, Chelsea likes to get those gift cards for Starbucks or whatever. I'm always like, when you give gifts to young people, they like cash money.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I don't want them to buy the weed, the reefer with that money. I'm going to give them a Starbucks card. Well, you could be just throwing your money away, because they could lose that Starbucks card. They could never use it. If that happens, you're done.
Yeah.
So it's almost better to give them like a little credit card with cash on it, but just give them cash. They can spend it on whatever they want.
Yeah, and it's, just a couple months ago, I was talking about how all those gift cards got taken out of my car, which I ended up getting them back. My brother, who works in marketing stuff, and he had read some stuff on gift cards, and like Christmas time, it's $1 billion industry, and the restaurants love it because I forget what the number is, but something crazy like 75% of gift cards never get used, so it's just free money.
We have a gift card for a kind of a fancier place here in Portland that someone gave us for a wedding anniversary or something like 10 years ago. And it was $100, and we still have yet to use that. Yes. It's probably going to expire one of these days. Well, it's just going to be $100 down the drain.
And I think maybe they changed the laws around that, because it used to be they could take so much off of it every year or whatever. Yeah. I think if I remember, I hope
Insane.
that companies aren't doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's if you get gift cards, use them. Which I am the first one that needs to take that advice. And I actually used one this week. Swung by Dutch Brothers, and they made me a completely wrong drink with a ton of sugar in it that I could barely drink any of it. So.
Well, maybe we should make a pact, and next week, let's find some of our gift cards and let's go out to lunch together and spend some gift card money.
I like it. Well, another big announcement in the gaming world. Sony, not to be outdone by Microsoft, is buying Bungie for $3.6 billion. Now, Microsoft's acquisition of, is it Activision? No,
Activision Blizzard.
Activision Blizzard is like 70 billion or something like that.
Yeah, and they've got tons of studios under their name.
Yeah. So Bungie is a little smaller one. Dave, what are some of the games we might recognize out of the Bungie world?
Interestingly enough, Microsoft is a big Halo. Like, you cannot think of Xbox without thinking of Halo. Bungie is the original developer for Halo.
Oh.
And they're now going to be owned by Sony, which was kind of took the gaming world by storm. They're like, Halo. Well, since then, Microsoft Studios, I think it's 343 Games or something like that, makes Halo now. They have for the past 4 or 5 years. But that was the big thing. They're the big Halo game. So I would say of all the games that they make, that's the one. And also Destiny is the game that you probably have heard of. And it's one of the most popular MMORPG, LBQS type games that's on there, where massive multiplayer online game.
Role-playing games, yes.
Yeah. So it's like basically Halo with different people, and you go around and shoot everybody. So that's what Sony bought. And whether Destiny will continue on other platforms in the future, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yes, and I will mention, it mentions in the article, I hadn't even heard this one, but Take-Two in January announced an agreement to acquire Zynga for roughly $12.7 billion with a B dollars.
Didn't Facebook own Zynga? Am I wrong in thinking that? Who owned them before?
It seemed that way.
Maybe they were just partnered. So, Take-Two Studios does a lot of games. I can't remember which ones at the moment, but yeah, that's a developer I've heard of.
Yeah, so once again, it's more consolidation in the gaming world.
Mm-hmm. Pretty soon, it's just going to be owned by Sony and Microsoft, and then Nintendo will just do their own games.
Yes, and I will remind people that we already played our disclaimer with the patriotic music behind it. The headline on this article from Fox Business: GoFundMe backtracks on redistributing money for Canadian truckers under threat of fraud investigation. On GoFundMe, we're all familiar with it. You have fundraisers, and some people might be aware that there is a large convoy going up in Canada. A lot of trucks going into Ottawa, and now it's expanded all over the country. But they're very well organized, and they had a GoFundMe that had raised about 10 million Canadian dollars, which is like 7 million US.
Oh,
yeah, $7. US dollars. But so they had frozen some of the money, which is usual. I actually heard an interview with the guy that's like the spokesperson for the trucker movement up there. And, it's very typical for GoFundMe, especially something that's raising a lot of money, that they kind of hold the funds, make sure everything's on the up and up. Well, they released some of the money, and then there was actually some pressure from the Ottawa Police Department saying, hey, these people are occupying our city, please shut this down. So they ended up shutting down the GoFundMe. So originally they had said, hey, we're taking this down. We've made a form that if you want to request a refund on your donation, you can do that. So you've got to go do this. Well, they got some major, and they said they were going to redistribute any of the other funds to, organizations that they wanted to support. GoFundMe said that. So
that doesn't seem fair.
Yes. So that did not go over well, as your reaction notates. But they have now announced that they will be, I think within 7 to 10 days, they will be refunding all the donations. So the truckers have moved over to another site, Give, Send, Go, which is a Christian fundraising site. Well, that site got overwhelmed, and then they said they were even getting some DDoS attacks where people were trying to take down their website so people couldn't give money, but they're already up to a couple $1 million on that fundraiser there. But yeah, GoFundMe definitely got some flack for saying, hey, we don't like your fundraiser, so we're going to take this $10 million and give it to organizations that we like. That's not how it's supposed to work.
Yeah, I could see the refund, but man, reappropriating those funds for something else is just way outside the purview of...
Yes, the Canadian Freedom Convoy, that's what they're going by up there. So, yes, our neighbors to the north, and there are some fun videos of people. It was the first day that they arrived in Ottawa, there was like tens of thousands of people out there. It was negative 22 degrees outside, and these people are all out there just partying in the streets. But yeah, very, very interesting story going on up there. But yeah, GoFundMe, they had to pivot a couple times over the last couple days. And then the security and privacy story. This is a very interesting one, which I will also refer back to our disclaimer. Hacktivists say they hacked Belarus rail system to stop Russian military buildup. Now, this is in reference to the Ukraine and possible military actions from Russia into Ukraine. So they hacked in and shut down the rail system so that the Russian army couldn't move their stuff, which is pretty crazy.
That is pretty crazy. And just how there was a recent thing, too, that somebody had hacked North Korea's internet.
Their internet, yeah.
Yeah, because they had been doing these attacks on the U.S., which were affecting the entire country. And so they just individually decided to pick on North Korea. So it's amazing what people who are savvy with computers can do, since our entire planet seems to be connected to the internet.
Yes, indeed. Okay, well, moving away from Belarus, we'll move to our bonus odd take of the week, and this is just one. I might have even found it via kotkey.org again, but it is a Vimeo channel called TV Dictionary. The concept is simple. Try to capture the essence of a television series using a single word by making a short video that combines the dictionary definition of that word with a clip or several clips from the series. Contributions welcome, and you can send them to Ariel Visar. Putting this, so there's 42 different videos, and they're all better known ones: Fargo, Lost, Dexter, Better Call Saul, BoJack Horseman, X-Files, on and on. Miami Vice, yes. But just basically taking the show and finding one word to explain it, and then using the definitions and, like it said, a couple clips from the show. But again, just one of those things, like, who thought of this and just taking the time to put this together. I Love Lucy, Friends, so you can find some of your favorite shows that you've shows that you've watched, and see how well it matches up with what you think of the show.
So I'm trying to desperately find one of the show's words that matches. What is an example of one?
Okay, so I've got Seinfeld is one of the ones there, and it says "see under nothing." So then you've got some clips, Seinfeld, they're, sitting in the coffee shop. So basically...
So it's the show about nothing is what it's been described as. And so
a
nothing
thing that does not exist is one of the definitions, obviously. The absence of all magnitude or quality, the absence of anything perceptible.
The absence of quality. I bet Jerry would have a thing to say about that.
Yes. His bank account would say something about that. But yeah, just... an odd take here of things that pretty random one this week of go check it out. I've got a link, or I'm sure you can Google TV Dictionary and find these videos. But yeah, I want to watch through some more of these ones that I have watched, because there are, again, and some of the ones that I want to watch, we all have that list in the back of our head of The Sopranos. I've never watched. I think I've seen a 30-second clip of the final shot of the final episode when that was a big hubbub. There's many others that I have watched as well on there. Mr. Robot, Breaking Bad.
I didn't look at this one, but I'm guessing that Friends, the word that they use is friends.
Oh,
I'm just guessing.
Yes. That was.
You could make it a game.
Easy. Yes.
Yeah, you can make it a game.
Yes, indeed. Oh, you know what else we can make it a game? Our picks of the week.
Yeah, my pick of this week is probably my picka. What am I? What am I? Italian? Sorry to our Italian listener.
Pick the pasta.
So crazy. This week, I have a little device that I've been, what's the word? Yearning for, longing for, wanting. What is some other words I'm trying to think of? There's got to be
Desiring.
desire. I've been desiring this product, and it's actually smaller than I thought it was going to be, which it's fine.
Yeah.
I, of course, am talking about what everybody knows. I mean, they probably already guessed it.
Yeah.
This is the ATEM Mini Pro.
Oh,
Right?
Yeah.
Is that what everybody thought?
Yeah.
Now, what is this thing? This is a small video switcher made by, for all of you Christians out there, please close your ears. The Black Magic Design is the company. We don't want to be associated with any of that craziness. Yes. But Black Magic Design makes a host of wonderful products. And I believe they're an Australian company. So good day to you down there in Australia. But Black Magic Design has a series of ATEM switchers. So I currently, for my ATEM, have set up 3 camera sources. And we were playing with these before. I have my main camera that's looking at me. Yeah. I have camera 2, which is my can cam, which is pointed at in my garage to a can bag of cans. So it's my can cam. And then not to be upstaged by my broom cam, which is pointing.
For all you listeners out there, I am fortunate enough to get, we're zooming and switching between the camera angles, and the dustpan is holding steady on the wall.
Yeah, it has not moved, and it's a little dark, but it's kind of dark in here, so the camera's doing the best it can. It's a very cheap camera. So why would I want something like this? Well, I'm a nerd, so I have a lot of this stuff. Anyway, they have 3 basic models of this. There's the ATEM Mini, the ATEM Mini Pro, the ATEM Mini Pro ISO. They need to work on their names a little bit, but they're very descriptive of what they do. The ATEM is, man, you put a couple cameras into it, you got some cheesy dissolve effects, so you can do picture-in-picture, et cetera, you can output it to your computer as a webcam, and that's how you're seeing me now. I've got all this junk plugged into this hardware, and there's one cable coming out, and it is my webcam, which is kind of cool. You can and actually I should have set it up a different way, because the way I have it now is kind of, there's a delay, but there's a couple of different ways to set it up. The other thing you can do with the Pro model is it has built-in live streaming. So if you have a church, a school, another house of worship, a podcast, a video podcast, and you're a gamer and you want to stream on YouTube or something like that, the ATEM Mini Pro would be great, because you just hook it all up, you hit one button, you're streaming, you can switch between your cameras, boom. You don't even need a computer. It just is working. And then the ISO, the difference is the Pro will record your program, and the ISO will record a different video file for each camera that you have plugged in. I totally wish I had that one, but it is cost prohibitive for me. This one I bought used from a friend, and I got a pretty good deal on it. But the Mini, with no streaming features or other features, is $295. The Pro comes in at $495 retail, and the ISO was $795. So that's the one I really wanted, but I don't have that kind of money for this. Basically a toy that's going to be sitting on my desk most of the time. But they do have professional models. They have the ATEM Mini Extreme, which has 8 channels, and the Extreme ISO, which allow you to record 8 of those channels individually. And those come in at about $1,000 and $1,300. And they've got all kinds of other stuff. And you can go way up into some big stuff that costs like $12,000. So
yes, the ATEM 4ME advanced panel for $18,485. 40 input buttons per row and 4. I mean, they have some really impressive stuff. They do make some DaVinci Resolve and Fusion software, which is free video editing for the DaVinci Resolve.
Yep, and their Fairlight audio consoles will help you edit live audio. So you may have heard of a Behringer or a Yamaha sound mixer and stuff. Well, they have their own, and they've got these video editor consoles that help editing audio and video in DaVinci Resolve easy. So if you wanted to do a complete Blackmagic video workflow from a small 50-person house of worship up to a giant television studio, they have products for
stuff. Yeah, no, it's really, they've got some great cameras and everything. Really, really cool company, and it's just so cool to see. For $5,000, you could really have a television studio. You'd have basically all the same equipment that would have cost hundreds of thousands of dollars not too long ago.
Well, what I like about the ATEM is that I can just use stuff that I have with me. Yeah. So if I had a GoPro, I have a Faux Pro, which I think it was $50 or something. Yeah. And I can't remember if it has HDMI out. I think it does. But if you can get HDMI out of it, if you've got a video game console, you put it right in there. Yeah. A simple webcam that has HDMI out, or a cheap video camera. I think a couple of the ones that I'm using I borrowed, but they were like $150, $250 or something like that. And they're 1080p. They're not the best. They're little Canon Handycam type things. They work great. And so for $300, $400, $500 plus the cost of the ATEM, you could have a really good setup for doing a podcast, or just be a one-man band live streamer that goes into schools or churches or whatever and does the live streams on contract.
Very, very cool. Yeah, I like the Blackmagic, and I did get to handle your ATEM. It wasn't set up, but yeah, very, very cool little device on there.
Yeah, and if you hook it to your computer, you've got even more features that you can utilize.
Yes. Well, my pick of the week is pretty much a repick that I've done in the past, but I was looking at them this week, and I just want to remind people, especially if you're getting into video production, you're going to need a lot of storage. And this is I don't know if I have any of these updated models. They've just changed the design a little bit. But the Western Digital Elements portable external hard drives. Now, these are actual old school spinning hard drives, as opposed to SSD drives, which are much faster. But, a lot of people just have a lot of data that they want to store, get it off your computer to free up some space. I will remind people, one backup is none backup.
That's right. One backup is none backup. You can't move forward unless you back up. Behold the power of backup.
Yes, and we always recommend having multiple backup methods, and I think the various versions of Western Digital, I think I have 4 of these on my desk, but I was looking on Amazon, and the 2 terabyte version is $60.
Holy cow.
$60.
That is so affordable.
Yes, and then the 4 terabyte, so double that, for $90. So for $90, for 99% of people, you're going to have more storage space. So I was even thinking I need to just clean up a couple of the ones I have here and consolidate files, because I should just I have one that's a backup, and then make a backup of that backup. And that would be the perfect device to say for me to give you one. So in case something happened to my house or I lost everything, that you would have a copy of all my stuff over there. So,
and it could be completely encrypted. So if there was someone that you didn't entirely trust or thought, well, I don't feel right about giving all my data, just encrypt the drive and I'll never even be able to open a thing. But one strategy that I've talked about doing here is putting everything on a large external hard drive and then backing that hard drive up to Backblaze. Because then you've got a backup of a backup, because one backup is none backup, as we've mentioned. So it's a dual backup. Now, it might be hard to get your information down from the cloud if it's very large, but at least it's there.
Yes. Yeah. And so this pick is just to remind people there's no excuse not to have multiple copies of your data. Like, I will even show you, Dave, just the price of data these days. I've got in my hand a micro SD card that is 512 gigabytes on a micro SD card, like the size, smaller than my fingernail.
It's smaller than a stamp.
Yes, that you could put 512 gigabytes. For most people, you could back up all your photos on these, put it somewhere. So again, these Western Digital, I've had very good luck with those, that you can get one of those and just do it this week. Go on Amazon, buy one, and make another backup of all your data, please.
And don't forget these little thumb drives that just plug into your USB port. Those come in massive sizes.
Yeah. So it's there is so many options. The Western Digital, again, like Costco, I think they carry one of the other brands, where the pricing is very similar. But there's no excuse, and if you can't afford $60 and you have that much data you need to back up, let me know. Maybe I'll go into halvesies with you, or we'll do a payment plan so that you can back things up. But they're please, people, back up. I just don't want you to lose your data. We have so much in our digital worlds now that there is no excuse to lose it with a good backup strategy.
I agree.
Well, with that, and you probably want to download all of our podcast episodes and back those up as well, just in case the internet breaks or something, and you want to go back and listen to us ramble on for hundreds of hours over the last many years. With that, I think we will wrap up this episode. Thank you so much for listening, sharing it with a friend, asking questions. We got a question from Elliot on the Facebook group about, the Apple TV versus Apple TV streaming. So all that good stuff so you can get out there and tech better.
That's right. And here, let me do my
I know. I should have given you a heads up. GoFundMe. Whoa. Autoplay ad. And I can't.
That's why you need an ad blocker like I use here.
Yes.